All right, next up in our review, Arizona State beating Baylor on a walk-off field goal, 27-24, the final score, and that was go over the highest graded player, starting off with the Sun Devils. Highest graded player for them was Kindrich Breedlove, the cornerback, with a 76.1 grade in the win. Actually, the highest graded player was Sam Levitt, who 87.7. He actually had a really good game for Arizona State. Javen Robinson, 74.6. Keith Abney, the second, another corner, 73.5. Clayton Smith, edge rusher, 70.8. And then Max Iannachor with a 70.4 grade in the win for the Sun Devils. Let's go over to Baylor with their highest graded players in the loss. Offensive guard Ryan Lengyel, 78.3. D tackle Jackie Marshall, 78. Safety Devin Bobby, 76. Center Colton Price, 75.4. Tight end Michael Trigg, 74.3. And quarterback Sawyer Robertson, 66.1 grade in this one. Dawn, what told the story in this game?
All right, I have to give kudos. I challenged Marcus Arroyo to run the football more, and he absolutely did that. So they came into this game, the first three games, running the ball about 43, 44% of the time, a lot lower than they were last year. I mentioned 80th in the country coming into the week. Last year, they were 25th. Last year, they ran the ball 51.7% of the time. In this game, they ran the ball 51.8% of the time. Gotta love that. Get back to the formula. Also, 9 screen passes in this game. Arizona State is usually a heavy screen team that they want to get their athletes out in space and win out there. They're going to run off tackle. They did that very well in this game, especially with Raleek Brown. And obviously, Sam Levitt can do just some crazy things with his legs. But I like the fact that Levitt was involved in the run game with a lot more option looks, right? There's read options, especially with a lot of that jet motion and him being able to run behind those power schemes up front with this offensive line. 47 carries, 44 of them by design, 182 yards. So I'm not going to tell you that's the most efficient clip you've ever seen, but I think the idea is controlling the pace of the game. Run things through your run game like you did last year. I know you don't have Cam Scatterbo. You're not going to have one guy as good as Cam Scatterbo, but there's enough rushing threats in this offense, especially right now the way Raleek Brown is running the ball and the way Sam Levitt's running the ball too. They've got enough to have a legitimate run game. And the big thing, against a fast-paced, high-flying Baylor offense, they held the ball for 36 and a half minutes. Arizona State, despite the close score, they controlled the pace of this game for the vast majority of it. Build through your run game. Sam Levitt's been a little bit inconsistent with the passing, but you saw it a couple of times in this game. The home run ability he's got with his arm, that can make a difference, but don't rely on it too much. Kind of the same way that I would ask South Carolina to start running the show is with a little more balance, 50-50. That's what Arizona State did this week. A lot of credit to Marcus Arroyo on the way he called this game. They controlled the pace. They got out of there with a win.
Yeah, Arizona State's run game was big, and also their passing game was much better than Baylor. EPA per pass difference, my stat right here, 0.388 for Arizona State, negative 0.266 for Baylor. Sam Levitt with a 76 passing grade, over 220 yards, 3 big-time throws, 1 turnover-worthy play. Sawyer Robertson had over 250 yards, but only a 65.3 passing grade with 1 big-time throw and 1 turnover-worthy play. Also had an interception in this game, too. Sam Levitt did not have an interception. So, really, the passing games were a massive difference in this one, too. And Levitt was really good on the ground, and that's why, ultimately, Arizona State squeaked out a victory. I think the passing games were just completely different. And another offense, Dalton, in Baylor, I know Bryson Washington's a really good player, but that Baylor offensive line has not really been the best for them this year. It just feels like right now this Baylor offense is so reliant on Sawyer Robertson to drop back and throw 50 times a game. It just feels like Cade Klubnik at Clemson and Lenore Sellers at South Carolina right
now. And the problem is, and Bryson Washington was pretty good in this game, but the problem is, again, they can't control the pace of it in the trenches on either side. And I do want to credit Arizona State's secondary. I have that down as my most impressive. You take all their corners and safeties in this game, and this is without Xavion Alford. He missed this game with an injury, and he's usually the backbone back there at free safety. 77.1 coverage grade from their secondary, 4 forced incompletions from 4 different players, 20 targets in total, 12 catches allowed for 100 yards. Not bad at all. Sawyer Robertson in the first 3 quarters, 56 passing grade. It basically just came down to him to see if he could bail them out. He did tie the game. He did a nice job in the 4th quarter, but when you don't have control of the pace of the game, we saw this against Auburn in that loss. We saw it in this game. We even saw it in the SMU game. Look, they happened to win a shootout, and Robertson made a couple more throws than Kevin Jennings. But this Baylor team they're going to just try to get in shootouts and win with Robertson and their receivers, and it's not going to work every week. If you have a team right now that can run the football functionally on Baylor, you can find a way to win that football game because they don't have enough right now in the front seven. Jackie Marshall played well up front. That's a big piece to get back. He's really the heart and soul of the run defense, but they've got to be better as a unit because they can't control the pace of football games right now.
I will give credit to Baylor a little bit. They had an 86.9 run blocking grade as a team in this one, so a lot better run blocking than it's been in the past, but I still think it's really reliant on Sawyer Robertson right now. And my most impressive real quick is Arizona State's offensive line. Only an 11.1% pressure rate allowed, over a 79 pass blocking grade in this grade, 75.7 I should say in this game too. And they really helped the team run for over 180 yards and kept Sam Levitt clean for the most part too. So Arizona State's offensive line I thought was a really, really good part of their win in this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And look, Arizona State, they got another huge game next week against TCU, and I think the formula needs to be similar. It feels like they're trying to find that rhythm and what this offense and what Marcus Arroyo really wants this offense to look like. But this was a good step in the right direction for them. I think next week is a big test. If they can stick with the run game and same thing, keep Josh Hoover from taking the game over in the same way they did with Robertson this week, then you've got yourself a scenario where maybe Arizona State starts to find its footing after some early struggles.
So I shouted out the ASU offensive line. You want to shout out a unit on the defense that really played well?
Yeah, the secondary, they were terrific. I mean, that's the big part of it. You've got Sawyer Robertson and all these weapons. Again, a 77 coverage grade combined from the corners and safeties. And to win that game in the secondary without Xavion Alford is big time. If they can bring that next week, especially after the game Hoover and then Eric McAllister just had for TCU, we'll get to next, that's big. If their secondary can play up, this is a coverage-first defense, and then they work their way forward with the aggression, with the speed. That's going to be big for Arizona State. I thought the secondary played a lot better than they did in the first three games.
Arizona State winning a thriller, 27-24.